Legislator Hathaway.
Here.
Legislator Verkler. Here. Legislator Burns.
Here.
Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Chartrand.
Here.
Legislator Morahan.
Here.
Legislator Levicker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne.
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach.
Here.
Legislator Dahlhoff.
Here. Please stand for the invocation and pledge allegiance. Legislator Gilbert, if you will lead us in the invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the privilege of serving our constituents on this board and for the blessings you've handed down out of grace to our community. Bless us with wisdom, grace, and humility today as we work through the tasks ahead of us. And let us always be mindful of the special compassion you have for the sick, the vulnerable, the poor, and the lonely. Amen.
Amen. Take the flag to the pledge. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you. The December 23rd and January 4th board meeting minutes have been distributed. And if there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 6. Cassandra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive rules to act on late resolutions.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by Josh, sorry. Around getting rid of there. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing and privilege of the floor. Tonight we are going to open the privilege or the public hearing for proposed issuance of bonds for the County of Lewis and Lewis County General Hospital. Is there anyone here that would like to make any comments on the bond issue? If not, is there anyone here that would like privilege of the floor? Mr. Kerr?
Thank you. Gerald Kerr, 7,785 North State Street, Lowell. For the record, I would like to register my opposition to the change in the masking policy that the board will deliberate on later this evening. This action, there is active transmission of COVID-19 in Lewis County, and it is impacting access to local healthcare services. I've put together a briefing file for each of you. May I approach the group?
Certainly.
And I don't need to read it to you, so I will leave it with you and certainly available to address any questions that you might have. But as the chief executive for the only health system in Lewis County, I think it's important to share with you a perspective. We are also the largest employer in Lewis County with an economic footprint of $115 million. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Any questions for Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. Anyone else for privilege of the floor? We'll leave the public hearing open for 30 minutes. And move on to presentation of petitions, communications, and notices.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A resolution was received from Putnam County opposing government-mandated COVID-19 vaccination. There were emails received supporting the Board of Legislators for their statement regarding the improper use of county letterhead by the Lewis County Sheriff. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All legislators have received copies of the Treasurer's January 2022 report, the Highway and Solid Waste monthly audit reports. Real Property Tax Director Candy Aiken and County Treasurer Eric Berkler have filed an improved application for 2021 corrected tax roll for Charles Skip. Legislators received a report of an unsafe structure at 4160 State Route 26 in the town of Turn from Code Officer David Brown. Fire and Emergency Management Director Robert McKenzie reported that his deputy fire coordinators for 2022 are Richard Ross, Gary Ashline, Bob Bellinger, Joseph Shue, Jeff Nellenbach, and Ron Gingrich, as well as EMS deputy coordinators Jen Marchion, Mark Tuttle, and David Call. The following departments have submitted their 2021 annual reports, which have been placed on file with the clerk of the board. Board of Elections, Building Codes, Buildings and Grounds, Community Services, County Clerk, Emergency Management, Junkyards, Office for the Aging, Planning, Probation, Real Property, Recreation, Forestry and Parks, Solid Waste, Treasurer, Veteran Services Agency, and Workers' Compensation. Sealer of Weights and Measures Director Brian Mooney submitted the December 2021 activity report that was placed on file with the clerk of the board. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Tom, would you start us off with Finance and Rules, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to authorize Information and Technology Director Connor Belosi to send out an RFP for a new county website design and implementation.
Moved by Tom, second by Ian. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried.
That's all I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? If not, we'll move on to Ian with General Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to authorize Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Matt O'Connor to send out an RFP for a new heated sidewalk for the new courthouse addition.
Moved by Ian, second by Lisa. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
Second, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Matt O'Connor to refill one part-time cleaner position effective immediately.
Moved by Ian, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
Third, I make a motion to authorize Sheriff Carpinelli to refill one full-time dispatcher / corrections officer position and all associated backfills effective immediately.
Moved by Ian, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Fourth, I make a motion to authorize Planning Director Cassandra Buell to refill one full-time community development program specialist position effective immediately.
Moved by Ian, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from anyone for Ian? If not, we'll move on to Lisa with Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 5 motions, not to be outdone by Ian's 4. Motion to authorize Community Services Director Patricia Freilich to send out an RFP for technology website services.
Moved by Lisa, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Motion to authorize Office for the Aging Director Crystal Collette to refill one full-time administrative assistant position effective immediately.
Moved by Lisa, second by Andrea. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Motion to authorize Public Health Director Ashley Waite to refill one full-time public health nurse or registered nurse position effective immediately.
Moved by Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Motion to authorize Public Health Director Ashley Waite to refill one full-time early intervention services coordinator position effective immediately.
Moved by Lisa, second by Josh. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries.
Motion to authorize Social Services Commissioner Jennifer Jones to refill one full-time caseworker position effective immediately.
Moved by Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries. You want to stop there? You want to make sure you got to leave?
I guess I'll keep going. Motion to authorize Social Services Commissioner Jennifer Jones to refill one full-time employment and training specialist position and all associated backfills effective immediately.
Moved by Lisa, second by Tom. Any discussion?
Those are in the budget, right? Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
That's all I have.
Any questions for Lisa? We'll move on to Dick, the board's rep on the hospital board.
Yes, I've got a couple of things I'd like to bring to this board. The first one is that we had that better?
Yes.
We had a longtime employee finally retire, and she was recognized. Mrs. Sue Salmon, RN. She's a dedicated employee at Lewis County General Health Systems, 19 and a half years of service at the time of her retirement, effective January 21st, 2022. Having began her steadfast career in 1979 on the med-surg floor after graduating from St. Elizabeth School of Nursing with her RN degree. Mrs. Salmon was also engaged with the health system through her employment with Dr. Stillman for 32 years. Whereas Mrs. Salmon was committed throughout her career to the mission and vision of the health system in all her nursing roles over the years. Lastly, in her role as RN clinical coordinator in our IT department, she played an integral role in the development and support of the Meditech expansion. We wish Mrs. Salmon a happy, healthy retirement to enjoy her time with her husband, children, and grandchildren. I like it when we can recognize a long-term employee who's been so dedicated to the organization, so
That's a long term.
thank you for listening. Now we got a couple other things. Under risk management, we reported the lowest number of portable events in the fourth quarter of this year ever we had. Put quite a bit of effort into that. It's paying dividends. Residential care achieved 100% in all internal quality measures this quarter. We had for December a loss of 57,807 versus a budgeted loss of 172,259. With everything we've gone through this year in COVID and the impact that's had, it's understandable. We did receive $331,000 from our Phase 4 Provider Relief Funding Grant, which was one of the two that we sent in. We were hoping to get a lot more, but we got that one. And we have one more out there where we could get up to $1 million. But that was supposed to have been done in time, and nobody can understand why, so we're looking into it. We have 100 open positions at the health system right now. Most of them are out being advertised, so and they're in all different facets of the operation up there. So if someone's looking for a job, they're really dependable. Have them take a look at the job board. That's a lot of positions. We rewarded several of our team members with a salary adjustment in December due to the increase in the New York State minimum wage. The titles affected there were cleaners, activity people, food service, and unit helpers. We introduced our Chief Operating Officer, Kerry Turbine, to the board. And he's joined our health system. His first day was Monday, January 24th. I was on the interview committee with Kerry. I speak very highly of him. He's very talented, has a lot of expertise, and I'm looking forward to great things out of him for this organization. Just a reminder of where we are with our construction project update. January 17th, it went out to bid. January 26th, we had a construction pre-bid walkthrough. February 14th, our bids are due back. And lastly, there's a COVID-19 booster vaccination requirement forthcoming, and it's due this month. And I'm going to let Mr. Kerr speak to that.
All right, thank you. On January 21, 2022, an amendment adding a booster requirement to 10 NYCRR Section 2.61 became effective. This amended regulation states covered entities shall continuously require personnel to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and to have received any booster or supplemental dose as recommended by the CDC, absent receipt of a medical exemption. Covered entities must ensure personnel who are currently eligible for the COVID-19 booster have documentation of compliance and the emergency regulation by February 21, and that personnel not currently eligible for boosters receive their boosters within 30 days of becoming eligible. So on a practical level, what that means, if you received your second shot on September 27th, and that shot had a requirement of 5 months before the booster, that would bring you to January 27th. Within 30 days, so add 30 days to that, you would have to be vaccinated or show proof of vaccination by February 27th, or you will not be able to come to work the next day. And the way we dealt with that back in September is individuals who were not vaccinated, we placed on a leave for a 2-week period of time with the hope of convincing, educating, cajoling that they would receive the booster. So what I've done is I've put together a packet that includes the letter, and you know, the letter isn't very long, it's a page plus, but there are frequently asked questions that I've attached, so you know, the bread and butter, the specifics. And I'm thinking you may get calls from your constituents. These questions will be able to help you answer. And of course, don't hesitate to refer the call to me. I'm more than happy to help. May I approach? So I'll close with, as of this morning at 8:30 huddle, 215 members of the health system team have been boosted or received their booster, and we have documentation. That basically represents 33% of the current workforce. Anyone we contract with, a specialist, for example, must also show proof of having received the booster, and any contractors who come in and do work have to be vaccinated. And that will include the construction crews that come in for our project. It also includes volunteers, so our board of managers must also be boosted. And in this case, Ryan has probably the most active involvement with the health system. In order for him to come to meetings at our system, he would have to show proof of vaccination as well. So we're a third of the way. We still have a heavy lift before us. We've received one resignation thus far, and we were told another resignation is forthcoming. So the question I get is, do we have a projection of potential resignations? I think it's going to be somewhere in the 3 to 5% range. So, you know, we'll adapt as we move forward. If there are no questions, that would be the report.
Thank you, Jerry. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jerry. Anyone have questions? If not, we'll move on to the county manager report. Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So since we met with committees and kind of kicked off the legislative season 2 weeks ago, we adopted some goals that we have been working steadily at those. We've had meetings, steadily on the building project. Obviously, you notice that is, continues to move along. We had the project walk through last night. We had 23 contractors take the time to walk through our facilities. Obviously, those are the ones that are heavily interested in bidding, and there's perhaps more that didn't have the time to walk through. So very attractive project. We're really hopeful that we will get very competitive bids. We've been meeting on broadband. We'll get the ad hoc committee back together on that shortly. We're just waiting to hear back on one final grant that we applied for, the NTIA grant. So as soon as we have word on that, that will determine our next steps. So we'll be getting that group back together shortly, hopefully. We've been meeting on the railroad issue. We've been meeting with our lobbyists. We had a wonderful meeting with some of the folks that are going to be involved in that project. And they've been kind of texting me and emailing me. They're jumping into this ATV issue, and it's very unique. There's lots of different perspectives, and as we already know, they're finding out it's not quite as simple as they perhaps thought. We had a great meeting on the Central Louis water study and what the county's role could be in that going forward. Lots of meetings regarding snowmobiles and ATVs. The EMS issue was one of the goals that we set forth. So I had a great meeting with Bob and Jen, and I had a great conversation with Jeff. That's going to be something that's going to be a little bit more complicated than I had originally thought, but nonetheless something we need to put our back into over the next year. And we still have more to talk about. I want to set something up with Jenny in the next couple days to talk about the homelessness, which was a goal that we had set forth in committee. So you guys gave us direction. We're off and running on a variety of issues. I'd also like to report, unfortunately, that the Glenfield School was sold to a private an entity. So, any thoughts that we had about potentially getting involved there as owners, unfortunately, that won't be able to happen. But, the rubber's going to hit the road here shortly in terms of us needing to find a place to house our staff during renovations. So, Glenfield School still may be a location for us, and if we aren't the ones ending up owning it, we still might need to be involved there. So Cassie Buell and Jenny have been talking with those folks. We need to get everybody together and engage in a formal discussion on what that could look like. New York State has been releasing new congressional, Senate, and Assembly districts over the last few days. If you want to take some time, go on. The Washington Post has put up the maps as they've been coming out. I'm sure there's other, our local media outlets will do more on that. The New York 21st Congressional District has been split. We will remain in the 21st Congressional District. It appears with Representative Stefanik. Jefferson County and Fort Drum have been split off into a new congressional district. So that'll be interesting, not so much affecting us, but our neighbors. The New York State Senate map is being voted on today, and along with the Assembly. I have not seen the new Assembly map, but the Senate map will affect us. It changes our Senate district. We were for many, many years solely in the district that included Utica and Rome, which was represented by Senator Griffo. We are now in a district along with Jefferson, St. Lawrence, Franklin, and parts of Herkimer County, which would put us in with Senator Ritchie at this point. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but certainly a change. And then I have not seen the new Assembly maps yet, so potentially a change there as well. Last but not least, on a personal note, a mentor of mine, actually a mentor of local government across New York State, has passed away yesterday. My college professor, Bob McAvoy. He was Schenectady County Manager for 25 years. He was City Manager at Hastings-on-Hudson for 10 years. And he was Personnel Director in the City of Yonkers back like in the late 40s and 50s when they were putting in their first civil service requirements for the City of Yonkers. But the folks that went through his program are currently running the City of Ithaca, Tompkins County, the City of Canandaigua, the Village of Fairport, Botkins, Ohio, which is where I was. The gentleman who replaced me was from the program. Our Legislative Director at NISAC, the City of Huron, Ohio, Bronxville, New York, and many others that are not kept track of. So a guy that did great work promoting local government management. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that I'm here because of him, and he did a lot of good work in his career.
We have him to blame.
Yes, you do. We have him to blame.
I got a question for you. Are you done?
Yes.
A lot of people in my neck of the woods have been concerned about this wood burning. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yes, actually, Larry and I talked to folks in Senator Grippo's office. We talked to the lobbyists. We've gotten a consistent response, which is not something serious that we need to worry about. However, the best response of all was from the DEC commissioner himself, who sent out a tweet a couple weeks ago that said, nothing to worry about. This is not a serious proposal. The DEC, New York State, is not considering in any way limiting wood burning as a way to heat your home. So,
Good.
Not something to worry about.
Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ryan? Dick?
Yeah, Ryan, I believe you had a meeting or someone did on the snort run. Can you give us any info on that for this?
Yeah, the date is set for April 9th. The Snow Pals have been very communicative about what they're looking to do. They are complying with all the local laws, our local law when it comes to the event permit, Martinsburg local law for event permit. They have multiple routes planned out depending on the weather. So if the roads get soft, like they have in 2019, for example, we have different routes that are available. We'll keep, a route that's completely exclusively on pavement. So they're trying to be as thoughtful and forward-thinking as they can about this event. They're also casting a wider net, inviting more snowmobile and ATV clubs to participate, which I think is smart. And they've also got a meeting set up about 10 days before the snort run with the highway superintendents. And the highway superintendents at that time can say, this road's not ready, this road's not ready, and we can change maps. So they are doing everything they can to make sure that some of the damage that occurred in 2019 does not happen again. So in my opinion, I think we're lucky to have a great relationship with Snow Pals. If all the events on the Tug Hill worked as hard as they did to communicate with us, we would not have as many problems, I think. So they do a good job.
Have they got new leadership?
Yes, they do. Yeah, I mean, new as in the last few years. but-
New as to the person you're thinking about is not.
No, I just wondered in general.
Yeah,
Probably 3, 4 years
Yeah.
ago. Okay, good. But it's good that they're encouraging the help and recognizing the problems. I like that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ryan?
I think I forgot one thing. The reason I brought up my professor was not just randomly. He passed away yesterday. That's why I wanted to. Okay. It wouldn't make any sense if it wasn't. But
I was gonna make a smart comment, but I took the wind out of my sails.
Yes.
sorry.
Maybe that was his point.
Okay, let's move on to county treasurer report. Mr. Brickler.
Yes, thank you. I've provided a written report. The highlight, obviously, I would say is the sales tax information, which you had received previously, but in quick summary, we should recognize $15,145,000 for 2021. That is 1.8 million more than last year and 3.3 million higher than our budget. So obviously, very positive results for our sales tax, and let's just hope that trend continues. We have not seen any collections yet for this year, so we'll see the first ones in the next week or so. Just a little other information on the bottom of the page on some of our reserve balances. You can take a look at those. I also would say that our 2021 cash report will be distributed by Cassandra with the rest of the departmental reports. I always kind of, when you think of, I think I like to compare and, I don't want to say compare and contrast fund balance, but want to clarify that if you think about fund balance is kind of more of a technical accounting term. Look at your cash balances, and cash balances often closely reflect fund balance. So when you see that report for our cash balances, you can again think of that as close to what our fund balances will be. So when you get that, if you have any questions, more than willing to answer them, go over those with you. And again, definitely in a positive cash position in all of our funds. You'll see that when you get that report. It is 2021 close time, so our department will definitely be focused on that for a couple of months, and our auditors visit us in the end of March. Any questions? I'll do my best to answer them.
Can I ask questions too?
Dick raised his hand first, but
No, I mean. when I
okay,
get-
in general, you sure can.
You have to take your turn though.
There's been some talk about, the state looking at the sales tax on gasoline. Is your curiosity led you to look into see what kind of an impact that would have on our projections for 2022? If that lasted 6 months, if it lasted 8 months or something, or is there any way to do that?
I have not seen any of that, Dick, so I'm not sure what you're referring to and how it may impact us, but I could try to research that some. Do you have any other information I could look into?
Am I the only one that's been on the news all over, yeah?
So they're suggesting they might,
They're suggesting, a hold on sales taxes, is how I understood it.
A temporary hold on sales tax for gasoline, and there's a handful of other goods to give people some relief.
My question was, what's that go to now, and how are you gonna take care of it if you don't get it in the sales tax?
We've always, at least in the figures that I've seen, it seems the gasoline ends up being about 30% of our sales tax, so that would be obviously significant.
yeah, sure would, and I'd also be curious if they're talking about just reducing our portion or the full.
Yeah, that's true. Well, would that be prudent for us maybe to send a resolution down that we're opposing to some of that? And we don't have to make a decision tonight, I'm just writing.
If that moves forward, I
Yeah.
would certainly agree to
Is
that.
there actually a bill out there at this point?
And I have not seen anything to that effect.
I tend to take cues from NISAC, and they have not set out, typically they'll send out the red alert for action, and I have not seen anything on that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure, that's what I asked the question for, so we get more info. Good, thank you.
Yeah, and I will, I have, they don't give us the detail on where, you have to have special permission and sign your life away to get detail on where the sales tax comes from. I'll see if I can put in that request so I can follow a little bit more information.
Mr. Bill? Question?
No, that was just in general. Sometimes he doesn't like to ask questions.
All
That's understandable.
all the time.
Okay. Anything else for Eric? We'll move on to report of the Finance and Rules Committee for Rule 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $1,994,398.88 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
You need a motion? Ron, second by Dick. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. So resolutions, we are pulling 17, 23, 26, and 30. Are there any others that anyone would like to be voted on separately? (26) and 30.
That one's on the credit card, right? That one's on both.
That's number 28, Dick.
It is, okay. No, that hasn't been told. Did you wait that told? It's, if someone else feels we ought to have a little discussion on it, I think it was pretty self-explanatory.
Leave it in the slate.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone have any others? If not, could I have a motion to move the remainder as a slate? Lisa, second by Ian. Any discussion? All in All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Sway carries. Back to 17.
Auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $1,994,398.88.
Moved by Lisa, second by Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor?
This is a roll call.
Okay, none about that.
Legislator Berkler,
Yes.
Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Morahan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach.
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Burns,
Yes.
Legislator Chartran,
Yes.
Legislator Levicker,
Yes.
Legislator Osborne,
Yes.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Yes.
The next one is a resolution authorizing agreement between the County of Lewis and Paradigm Environmental for professional air monitoring services for the New York Main Street Downtown Stabilization Project.
Moved by Lisa, second by Tom. Discussion. Is this the fire damage buildings?
No, this is the old jail project.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'll abstain, Mr. Chairman.
Show Ian abstaining, and the motion carries.
The next resolution is authorizing intermunicipal agreement between the County of Lewis and the Village of Turn for financial assistance towards the village's comprehensive plan.
Moved by Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion.
Chairman, make a note, I'll abstain.
Okay, show Josh abstaining. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries.
The last one is a resolution authorizing the County of Lewis to be named the lead agency at the State Environmental Quality Review Act process for the County of Lewis 2022 Facility Improvement Project.
Moved by Tom, second by Ron. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Other business. So as many of you are aware, there's been, okay. Would anyone like to make any comments on the proposed issue of bonds for capital projects and hospital projects? If not, we will close that public hearing at this point. Okay, so motion to rescind the mask policy. Someone would like to make a motion to rescind our mask policy. Ron, do I have a second? Tom, discussion.
Is there some clarity to that? Because I was asked by a couple of businesses in town today what it means for them and what we're doing. And I couldn't answer that. I couldn't see the interplay between the two. I think they're still under the state stuff. Is that not correct?
You want to take that?
So what we're doing is, so to be clear, on August 3rd, the Board of Legislators made a policy to require masks in county buildings. What we're doing right now with this vote is to undo that policy. It doesn't change what the state has put into place, but it rescinds what we have done for our own buildings. We've been pretty consistent throughout the pandemic that businesses and private entities, we have never fined a business or a private entity. We have followed up with businesses in violation, but their relationship with their respective licensing agencies is what they're going to have to consider. So, if it's a, a business that's, has a liquor license, their decisions regarding the masks are going to be, something that they're gonna have to weigh in terms of their license. And so on with, any other business that has interaction with state agencies. But at this point, basically the county's saying for our buildings that we can control, we're no longer going to require masks, although we continue to say that they are, recommended and a good tool to keep people safe.
Can we do that with our signs on our door, say that, even though we don't have that, we do encourage or
Sure.
ask you to, for your own and others' protection? I think that would be good.
I do too.
And then the answer to the businesses, we actually have done quite a bit. We gave out test kits, we gave out masks, we gave out other stuff. And then, like you just said, this has nothing really to do with their regulations, and so they have to proceed as normal.
I
But
would
I
say,
think we're gonna get more questions. I was just out a little bit today, and I had 3 different businesses saying, well, what do you do? And your thing went out good, because I got a call on Saturday, yeah, you didn't put it out till Saturday, I guess.
the word spread quickly.
Yeah.
I also feel like we might be moving towards personal responsibility in regards to masks. And if somebody is wearing a well-fitted N95, they are even more protected than if everybody's wearing a cloth mask. And we do have KN95s that we can distribute if businesses or if someone needs one.
We're gonna have to stretch the rubbers though, because they come right back off your face. Did anyone look into getting, Bob was gonna look into getting, if there's different sizes, did he ever do that?
I don't know, the large supply that we have comes from the state of New York, and that is universal size from what I understand. We've got I've heard the same complaints from all the different counties.
Yep.
We had our own supply that we've mostly been using, with the hospital and public health and Office for the Aging, and kind of, more internal, less direct public distribution. But we can get an idea, what we can do is get an idea for how much we have left of those masks and see if there's an opportunity to do a little more public distribution of those. The ones we got from the state are uncomfortable, but they are well fitting. And if you have to run in to get groceries or something, it doesn't hurt to put it on for half an hour or so.
And if it's uncomfortable, it's a sure sign that it's probably working, because if they're tight, that's a good deal.
Other than the fact, 4 beers right off the bat. That's why.
Anything else? All in favor?
Right.
Anyone opposed? That carries. I'm announcing that there will be a special board meeting on Thursday, February 24th at 5 p.m. here in this room. I believe the agenda is to accept the bids, and we do anything on the bond on that day.
No,
But
we have to wait until,
March
March
1st.
1st board meeting
What was the time then?
5 p.m.
for the, bond resolution and also to declare the secret.
Thank you.
I would like a motion to move the March Legislative Committee meetings to Thursday, March 17th.
It's a holiday.
Is it?
You have to agree.
We're agreeing?
I would like to just say that it's because the NISAC conference is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week. We do have staff that like to attend. Some legislators have attended. We as staff can move our schedules and miss the conferences if there's conflicts with legislators. But if there isn't, we'd like to have the opportunity to attend.
And the good thing is, if Ryan goes to Albany for 3 days, he should be talked out.
That's wishful thinking.
How does that more to talk about there?
That'll start like normal at 1 o'clock.
That will start at 1 o'clock, yes. Same agenda. Okay, someone would like to make that motion, please? Dick, have a second? Lisa, any further discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That carries. Next on your list, or the list is the issue with the sheriff using county letterhead for a personal issue. As you recall, we referred that to the ethics board, and we have heard back from them, and Joan is going to read their response to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The letter from the Lewis County Ethics Board was received yesterday, January 31st, and it reads as follows. The Lewis County Board of Legislators requested the Board of Ethics to weigh on the following matter. The Lewis County Sheriff's use of official Lewis County Sheriff's Department stationery / letterhead for unofficial and personal correspondence. The Ethics Board convened and considered the matter pursuant to its responsibilities and duties as set forth in the Lewis County Ethics Law, Local Law Number 5-2005, Article 18 of the General Municipal Law and General Codes of Conduct for Government Officials, and makes the following observations and statement pertaining to the above. Although a provision addressed to the prohibition of use of official letterhead by a county official for private purposes is not specifically set forth in the local law, we recognize that not every unethical behavior or misconduct by a government official is set forth. Indeed, we would argue that the misuse of a county resource, such as official letterhead by an elected official for private purposes, is so common sense as not to require a special provision in the local law. This misuse is referenced in Lewis County Sheriff's Department policies. As an elected official and leader of the county law enforcement department, and one who should be a role model for exemplary standards, including avoidance of the appearance of conflicts, we would expect the sheriff to strive to set the example for others and not misuse his county office and county resources for personal matters. The sheriff misused his position and county resources, that is, official Lewis County Sheriff Department letterhead, for personal interests which had nothing to do with the operations of the Lewis County Sheriff's Department. This misuse of county letterhead gives the appearance that the views expressed by the sheriff on official county stationery are shared or sanctioned by Lewis County government. It is improper and unethical for any county employee, elected or appointed, to use county property for such personal use. If any additional action is sought, the members of the Board of Ethics recommend an admonishment of the sheriff for this misconduct, with the expectation that no further misuse of the official letterhead would be undertaken by him. Respectfully submitted, Lewis County Ethics Board members Dennis M. Mastacusa, Charles W. Truax Jr., John Scott Markham.
Thank you, Joan. Do we have any other business? If not, Joan would like an executive session for litigation matters. If someone would like to make that motion, please. Tom, second by Ron. Any discussion? We'll take a 5-minute break and then enter executive session.